W.C. Quick, Writing from the Wayside, author writing from the wayside. I'm going to be highlighting a couple of my middle grade stories I have out there. I have a full compilation novel of my Half-Rat series that began with Volume 1, The View from the Clock Tower. This novel of all 7 short stories is titled The View from the Clock Tower, The Starlit Sky by W.C. Quick. And for any of you who have read the series, it was difficult to get through all 7. I don't believe I had widely published volume 6 and 7 to the point where I finally got this novelized version of the storyline together. But this compiles and enhances the stories, the short story series, into a novel, which I'm proud of. I like. It is middle grade reading and up. It is by no means light reading. It does challenge the reader a little bit, but not to the point of being brutal or in any way explicit in any kind of violence or language profanity. But it is a not dystopian, post-apocalyptic tale of an Earth abandoned by humanity for 4,600 years, and having been repopulated by a number of genetically engineered animals with the help of an AI, an artificial intelligent being. And the point of this particular tale is the discovery that humans are attempting to return to Earth because of problems they had with space exploration and terraforming other planets. It is somewhat, it's not truly a space opera, but there are spaceships and starships and navigational issues with space travel involved, but it's mostly written from the perspective of a genetically engineered cat that doesn't know whether he wants humans to come back to Earth or not. I got the inspiration from this story through a number of different authors that I have read over the years that combine non-human voices with the morality of interacting with different cultures in space or on human terms. Of course, people have written science fiction for decades, since the beginning, as morality plays for how things are advancing with technology, and I try to approach that from a more lighthearted direction with my character Half-Rat, and in the serious the concerns of where we are going as people, which is and I won't call it overseer, but the developed cultural mind of an artificially intelligent being who has had to confront the idea of complete annihilation of life on Earth, and what it takes and commitments and sacrifices needed to do that with the beings available at the time, the genetically enhanced human animal hybrids. It's, like I said, it's not written from a dark perspective. It's not profane or explicit in violence or language at all, but it attempts to address some subjects. And if you were ever a 4th grade or 5th grade and read Starman's Son. I think it was retitled 2250 AD. It has a young man who joins forces with a genetically engineered saber-toothed tiger in the tale, and that always impressed me. So I had to write my version, my take on that particular science fiction, science fantasy foray into the science fiction genre. View from the clock tower, the starlit sky. I have my introduction, my dedication, and different authors that affected me. Anne McCaffrey, C.J. Chera, Brian Jacques, Richard Adams, and Dan Simmons for wild science and space opera. Also, middle grade reading fantasy, urban fantasy, a book I am quite happy with, proud of, is From the Worlds of the Orb series, which is this particular anthology, which is middle grade and young adult tales. But the middle grade, in the middle grade selection is The Flash and the Thunder, where I have a young hero by the name of Thomas, and he faces good versus evil issues in the late 1950s in Colorado. This is somewhat are actual events that happened and blended with my fantasy world from the worlds of the Orb, elves and fairies and different things that are entwined with the real world. And there's a lot of confusion for the young man that he has to deal with in his life. It's a novella, Flash and the Thunder. If you get a chance, read this. If you can go on to Kindle Unlimited to read both this tale or the companion tales that are also in the worlds of the Orb. But the follow-up story to this is Thomas and the Rusty Strings of Death, which is a banjo he finds that chases away evil elves. It's middle grade reading. The companion tale, Thomas and the Rusty Strings of Death, is also middle grade reading. And those are my entries into that particular genre, the science fiction and the urban fantasy tales. A lot of I get off every now and then on I like to hear the intake of indie writers who are in these different genres submitting works, and the rules for what middle grade reading, young adult reading, how you address issues of sexuality and romance and violence, profanity. So in this particular compilation, the Worlds of the Orb anthology, there is an overlap between the middle grade and young adult, where you're being challenged with some of the perspectives, both in how to deal with the subjects of violence, profanity, how they work in the development of character. And my take has always been that profanity and violence, if they don't have something to do with the evolution of the character, whether they're evolving good or evolving evil, then they're not really useful in the storytelling at all. So typically, evil characters are prone to both violence and expressions of profanity when their emotions overwhelm them. and the evolution from good to evil and from evil to good, you can see in both their speech and thoughts and action. And that's helpful with the reader to evolve in our own ability to deal with issues in our lives. The Worlds of the Orb anthology is mostly fantasy, urban fantasy. It does introduce my characters from the fairyland, elf worlds, and alternate dimensions of Twilight, which is has been one of the ways I get to explain off all the fanciful things that have happened through history. And the orb is a science fiction, artifice used to explain how stories and characters from fantasy can actually become real. If you get a chance, check out my Worlds of the Orb anthology, the first for a more light introduction into the worlds of Twilight and the dimensions of the orb. You have to read about it to know what I'm mentioning here. It's like a lot of people say, if you want to know what I'm saying, read the book. Anything from history to a memoir, whatever it is, you can't really grasp what the person wants to say to you unless you read what the person is actually saying to you. The author's attempting to tell you something, which is my way of saying, please read my book. Thank you. I will get off. My next video will be my foray into dark fantasy and nonfiction. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. I know these subjects are gone over by experts in detail on YouTube channels, but what I'm trying to do is sell my books, not actually explain what the genres are all about. If I can't do that with the actual storytelling, then I'm failed anyway. Take care. God bless you. Remember that Jesus loves you, and have a great day. Before I get along too far into my next video, I'm going to finish this video up with a reminder to everyone that my middle grade story, urban fantasy tale, The Flash and the Thunder from the Worlds of the Orb, is available on audiobook, in audiobooks, from Amazon Audible. If you get a chance, get on over and you can get it in print, as I have right here, Kindle ebook, Kindle Unlimited, and now you can also enjoy The Flash and the Thunder from Amazon Audible. Thank you.